So in today's video, I just wanted to talk about the notion of blaming women. I see this a lot in the manosphere space, and I just kind of wanted to give my take on it. Are women solely responsible for the outcome and the dissatisfaction that many of us in our generation are experiencing right now as it pertains to modern dating? Obviously, maybe not so obvious, but what I mean by this is I myself don't believe I would make a good dating coach at all if I blamed women for the way reality is panning out to be. I think that blaming women can come from a place of fear or a place of genuine hurt. I don't want to be too crude with my examples here because on this channel we are trying to break free of black and white thinking, because black and white thinking limits our minds, filters our worldviews into a sort of doomsday mentality. Now, even as it pertains to technology and social media, I've spoken a lot about how these things are toxic, but that is not just to say that technology and social media is simply toxic, period, right? Like, there is good things about technology. There is unique new forms of expanding your mind in new ways to sort of master what it means to be a human in this lifetime through means of technology, through the means of connecting with each other via online. But of course it comes with its own consequences. Consequences card coming through. Of course, everything in life will have its consequences, but nothing is just simply bad or simply good. And that's the breakdown that we will be having on this channel. And this is including you. You are not just simply bad or simply good. You're both beautiful and dark. You have elements of light and elements of darkness which make you human. You are a reflection, a manifestation of the universe itself. You're not simply good or bad. Just how reality isn't simply good or bad, it just is. And it's like breaking away from this thinking in order to reshape your worldview. The thinking of everything either being good or bad can be toxic because it can be limited. That's all we're trying to break down on this channel here, is the idea of limited thinking, is the idea of that this is just women's fault, is the idea that this is just men's fault. This is going to be a crude, sort of messy example, but I will give it to you guys anyways. I simply would not be a good dating coach if I sat up here and I blamed women. And if I sat up here and said things like, women don't have their own problems, women don't deal with expectations, women do deal with expectations, and women do have their own problems. I myself am a woman, and the beauty standards are out there for women. And you can say, well, Amanda, nobody's forcing women into these beauty standards. It's like, of course not. But when you live in an empty culture, not trying, again, more nuanced, but just trying to make a point. If you live in an empty culture where, human connection isn't really satisfying, and it's displayed online that looking good will, allow you to be happy or will get you more friends, even though in reality it doesn't necessarily pan out like that. But with these sort of displays online, of course, we are going to want to look after that for a sense of self-worth, for a sense of self-validation, for a sense of self-security. And men also do the same thing as well. We all do this. And right now, what we can see so often in this space is We see a lot of people blaming one gender over the other. We don't see a lot of unity happening. We don't see a lot of, correlations between what make men and women similar. That's what creates a sense of compassion. That's what creates a sense of happiness. Awe and ecstasy card coming through. That's what creates a sense of being connected, even though we are disconnected. It's by finding the correlations that draw both men and women and their pain and suffering together. This idea scares a lot of people in this day and age, but I am not one for putting women down. And, I know that scares a lot of people, and I'm not for putting men down either, though. And I'm not saying that your pain hasn't been caused by women. I'm not gaslighting you. But I'm also not saying that women are living these, easy lifestyles, life on easy mode, just because they're projected in a certain type of way on social media. This isn't the case. A lot of this gets infiltrated into our minds from a young age, having to look perfect, having to fulfill the high expectations of what you believe reality should be. It's not like a little girl wakes up one day and just starts thinking to herself that she has to have plastic surgery or get a BBL, Where do these ideas come from? They come from our culture, and they just get bombarded, like blasted into your mind. That's how a lot of this is working. Our minds aren't as free, as we think as it pertains to society and culture. I would not be a good dating coach if I blamed women. And just to go back to what I was speaking about earlier, to give you guys a crude example, imagine if I was a dating coach for women and I told the women on my channel watching me to blame men, and that men are solely responsible for modern dating, and that modern men, if only they could go back to, very traditional times, like times where men were fighting, in war, times where men, were beheading each other. I don't know, we should just go back to those times, and, men would be better, care providers. That's just a distraction. That's not a wise ideology. That's not really based in anything. That's not even based in courage, that thought, that belief. That's just based in shame, and it's based in ridicule. And it's coming from a sense of protection, a sense of pride when we say things like this. So when we say the opposite about women and say that women need to fit this ideal from the 1950s, or she lacks value, or she is responsible solely. I mean, again, if I were to say this to women about men nowadays don't know how to lead, don't know how to pay for all the dates, don't know how to open a door, don't know how to properly court, don't know how to approach. Imagine if I said all these things to women. This would make women resentful. This would drive women away from men. This would not create the correlation between both men and women's pain to connect us, to bring us into unity. This would just further create a culture war and a divide.